No doubt many of you have already seen or heard of the latest blasphemous video on YouTube. I'm a bit disappointed it's not mine, but the Innocence of Muslims, terrible movie. I just tried to sit through 5 minutes of it, goes for 15, and I couldn't because the acting was so terrible and it looked like they were using blackface, but with bronzer. So I just want to talk about the worldwide reactions to this terrible film. I would be more understanding if the film was really well made, good character development, good acting, good set, good props, but it's not. But apparently it's got Muslims riled up. On the weekend here in Australia, in Sydney, there was a large protest, mainly by young Muslim males, and it did get a bit violent and police were involved, and quite a few men have been charged for, I guess, public indecency, violence, all that kind of stuff. Now, I find when things like this happen, the media tend to take one of two views. They either make out like Islam and Muslims are terrible, incite fear, incite terror, or they pander to them and say, oh, poor little dears, it's not their fault. They're just minorities in society and we should understand and all that jazz. And unfortunately, the media took the latter approach with these violent protests. The question that boggles me the most is, why is this behaviour acceptable and excused when it's for religion? If I was to start a riot on the streets because I believe that unicorns were real and the Innocence of Unicorns video had offended me deeply, I would be ridiculed, I would be not felt sorry for at all because I'm campaigning against something that doesn't exist. But why do we pander to religious people who feel like they can display these violent behaviours and hatred and all of that just because it's in the name of a religion, and we don't want to offend them by saying that they might be a little bit crazy? Now, before I get the inevitable yelling and abusive comments, I do understand that these fundamentalist protesters do not represent Muslims and Islam as a whole. I do understand that 99.9% of Muslims are peaceful, normal, rational people, but that doesn't excuse the way that we make excuses for these 0.1%. A lot of media and articles that I've read about it have said, oh, it's just a small minority group of really angry young men who are angry with the system and are angry about this and testosterone, and they're young and they don't feel like they've been listened to. Why don't we have young men who feel like that protesting in the streets every day? Why does it take religion to push them to that part where they can think, oh, if it's about my religion, that it's perfectly okay to storm the streets and incite violence and hurt others and involve children and call for the beheading of people who don't believe in the prophet? Why does religion make it all okay? As my example earlier, if I did that on behalf of unicorns, that would not be acceptable. Now, of course, we live in Australia. It's a free country. Religious freedom, you're allowed to do pretty much whatever you want as long as you're not hurting others. So they weren't actually committing any crimes by protesting against this film, other than a crime of stupidity because A, it's a stupid film, B, it's a stupid thing to be offended by, and C, none of it actually exists. But that's beside the point. They were allowed to protest, they were allowed to voice their opinions, yell in the street, hold up signs, all that jazz. But it turned into violence. It turned into physical assault. And that's not acceptable. We need to stop pandering to religions just because they are religious. We need to stop babying them, tiptoeing around them and saying, oh, it's okay, they were just really angry about someone insulting their sky daddy. Oh, that's all right, we'll give them a pass this time. It's just not acceptable. And we need to stop being scared of stepping on people's toes, because we need to step on some toes to fix things. I read a Ricky Gervais Twitter the other day that said, "Oh, I hate all these atheists going out and causing riots and storming the streets." Oh wait, that never happens. Yes, because we don't feel the need to protect something that doesn't exist. So if we put some sanity and rationality? Yes, I think that's a word, into the way that we deal with these problems, maybe they'll decrease. Probably not. But if we keep treating these people like precious little beings that they are, their feelings just need to be protected, then we're going to keep seeing these kinds of violence. And who knows, the next one could escalate to someone dying, or an innocent person dying, a bystander dying. And no life is worth that. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on the whole Innocence of Muslims video and controversy and blasphemy and all that ridiculous stuff. I can't believe people get upset over this kind of stuff. Tell me what you think. Thanks, guys.